Good morning and welcome to the podcast. It seems to have been a little while since I last made an episode, so I thought I'd get out this morning and head over to the Leeds Country Way and pick up from where I left off. It's a gorgeous morning, but one of those mornings you have to motivate yourself to leave the house. Autumn initially was weeks and weeks of rain, and in the last couple of weeks it's given way to temperatures very close or just below freezing. Very still, overcast and misty, but with no rain, so therefore no snow. This morning it's about 1 degree centigrade, there's grey skies, no wind, frost on the ground and on the trees. There's a whole flock of geese just about to fly overhead. Maybe 50 or 60 of them, and I can see about 5 or 6 in the field where I'm standing next to. I wondered for a moment if they were going to land, but doesn't look like it. A lovely open V though, just a couple of stragglers, and the 5 in this field have completely ignored them. I better tell you where I am. If you remember, I started from Garforth months ago now, and I'm doing short circular sections and taking in parts of the Leeds Country Way, which is a 60-mile circular walk about 6 miles from the centre of Leeds. Last time I finished about halfway between the Harewood Estate and Golden Acre Park, which is to the northwest of Leeds. The whole section of the walk from Bardsey to Golden Acre Park has been a bit messy and seems to have done it in ever-decreasing sections. This side of Leeds is a little bit more difficult for me to get to, so once I reach Golden Acre Park I think I'm going to start utilising public transport and doing longer sections. So today I've parked near my finish instead of parking near my start, and I'm going to do a big loop through the fields and lanes to get back to the point where I was last time, which was just on the western edge of the Harewood Estate. Having said this is the sort of day that you'd want to stay at home all day, I guess I really didn't mean that. What I meant was, it's the sort of day you just need to motivate yourself to get out, because it is absolutely beautiful. There is not a breath of wind. As I said earlier, everything is covered in frost, plants, trees, the ground. I think we're heading for that part of the year where nothing much seems to be happening, but nature's clock is slowly ticking. We seem to have a debate in this country between the 1st of December, start of winter, and the winter solstice, start of winter. I've always been one for following the solstice dates, so for me winter is about a week away, as we're in mid-December now. Weather really has changed though, because only a couple of weeks ago it was 12 every day, but for the last week or so, as I say, it's been almost minus temperatures every day. So far I walked along a very busy road for a quarter of a mile, but then it's been lovely, and I'm heading back across towards Eccup and the Harewood Estate. There is a stile, but it looks very rickety, so I'll take the gate. I've just passed through the small village of Eccup, and I'm almost at the place where I left the Leeds Country Way last time. Eccup Reservoir isn't far, and I've yet to see it, even though I've lived within about 20 miles of it all my life. So I think I'll take a little stroll along its northern shore before turning round and picking up the path back. As I say, on this walk you're never more than 6 miles from the centre of Leeds, and it is different to countryside that's much further out. There's more traffic, more luxury housing, I suppose it's in easy commuter distance of a few big cities, but it is very rural. Just passing a field filled with young bullocks. Two of them seem to be play fighting, rubbing their heads together without any real aggression. So I've just passed the last of the buildings from Eccup, a couple of farmhouses. I'm on a small road now that the sign tells me is a property of Yorkshire Water. I think in Victorian times, as Leeds and Bradford expanded at an amazing rate because of the Industrial Revolution, clean water was vital, not just for people but for all the heavy industry that was taking place. So a whole network of reservoirs were built in the Pennine Hills. I think this is the closest one to the city, but some of the ones further into the Pennines, they're quite stunning really in the locations that they're set high up in the hills. This is a fairly broad road. I guess it has to be for the big trucks that service such things, with a high hedge at either side. I've never been on this particular stretch of walk before, and I thought I was walking to the reservoir, but I've just checked the map and I'm already walking along the north shore of it. At the other side of the hedge to my right is a field. Oh, I can just see it, yes. And that drops away into some trees, and then just beyond the trees is the reservoir, and then the land rises again to the other side. It's the trees that mask that there was a valley, but if you actually stop and look at the tree line, it's going downhill from right to left, which is where the valley would have been before it was flooded. Well, there is a pleasant walk all the way around the reservoir that you can link up with walks through the Harewood Estate, but last time I came there was a sign up saying the path was closed due to work on the dam. So I'm following the course of the reservoir from the top of the valley to the bottom where the dam is. The water then continues into the woods that I was in last time in the Harewood Estate, and I think feeds the lakes of the estate. The scenery to the right is beautiful as the valley reaches the dam. Woodland on both sides of the valley, mixed coniferous and deciduous, which is all now brown, and the conifers dark green, all set against a misty grey sky. Ploughed field in front of me, and there was a fox walking across the field about a quarter of a mile away, just picking its way, I guess looking for scraps. But it literally just disappeared. It was coming up from the valley in open view, unless there's a dip that it's gone down. But it definitely hadn't seen me. It really is fabulous today. So what's been happening since we last went on a walk? Not much really. Work as always seems to get in the way of things. Walks with friends, and it seems an imposition to turn up on a walk and say, do you mind if I do a podcast? So I think this is something I'll probably keep for when I do solo walks, unless I get any special guests or anybody who has a burning desire to be part of a podcast. The most important thing that's happened to me in the last few weeks was getting a new dog. A few podcasts back, I think I talked about my Labrador that had sadly passed away. Got her as a rescue dog when she was 5. She was amazing. Anyhow, to cut a long story short, after much looking and much soul searching, we ended up at a dog rescue and came away with a 5-year-old cross Labrador, I think Whippet, maybe greyhound, meaning he's very tall, very slim, but has definitely got the head and ears of a Labrador. He has got some issues. He was a street dog and then was rehomed, and that was unfortunately unsuccessful. But after a few days I can report that he still has his issues, but seems to be a very happy, cheeky chap. I'm looking forward to the next few years in his company. Just walking past a small plantation. The path's steadily going back uphill from the reservoir. It seems to be mostly oak, with just the last few brown leaves desperately hanging on. In the distance I can see some buildings and I think a farm that is part of the Harewood Estate, but I think is leased to a television company that makes Emmerdale. You actually get quite a good view of it from up here. It's about 8 houses that I think they use for all the outside shots on the programme, and all the inside shots are filmed in Leeds. It's so still. The fox I saw, there wasn't a sound from it or me or anything else, and it moved so slowly and stealthily across the field. I'm not a believer in ghosts. I may yet be proven wrong, but on a day like today it would be very easy to think you were sharing the fields and lanes with others long departed. I've just reached the path coming out of the Harewood Estate. It comes down the hill, past the TV film set. This is the Leeds country way. It then turns right. As I've come down the hill on my path, I've now turned left. So I'm back on the Leeds country way, roughly where I was at last time. I'll now follow this all the way to Golden Acre Park, and that will complete maybe 18 miles from Garforth to the park. The way then continues along the western edge of Leeds, through Pudsey, near to Bradford, then across to the southwest, Gildersome, and then along the southern edge of the city, near to Wakefield, before heading across the River Aire and back up to Garforth. As I say, for these coming sections, I'm going to try and use public transport and do longer sections. It is nice, but parts of it are quite built up, and I did it once before, so it'd be nice to kind of wrap this little project up before the spring, move on to something else. So now I'm on a little path that alternates between open fields and between hedgerows. This now will take me once more to Eccup. Just walking along the edge of a field with a hedgerow to my left, and the thick cloud has now, just in the last few minutes, broken, and there's dappled sun very low in the sky, just glinting on the frost in the hedge. There's even a little bit of blue sky above and behind me. But this hedgerow's beautiful, thick with frost. I found a big stone block being used to block a field entrance. Decided to stop for lunch. There's always little obstacles, but nothing that can't be overcome. I decided to go all healthy today and brought a tin of mackerel in tomato sauce and 2 wraps. The ring pull came off in my hand, so I had 2 dry wraps with a coffee, which wasn't so bad. Just stopped to take a photograph. There's an oak tree, maybe 100 years old, in the hedgerow, and the sun's just shining through it. It looks beautiful. Looking at my camera screen, I can only see 4 colours: green, black, grey and blue. I do like all seasons really, and it's only when I spend time out in winter that I realise how beautiful it is. And I think it's that understated palette. There aren't the bright yellows and pinks and reds of spring flowers, and there isn't the rich array of autumn colours. There is sometimes just very limited colours. And of course, when you get snow or thick frost, as we have today, you get everything with a touch of white. Just rounding the corner of the field, and there's a plantation now on my left that looks as if it's been 6 months in cold storage, and it's literally 6 weeks since it was in full leaf. A real day of contrast. The sun now is shining on the opposite side of the field, and there are deciduous trees there, still brown and gold like a normal autumn day. Yet walking here, it could be January or February. I am ever so glad I came. I've just reached a stile that takes me into a field on the right. As I'm walking across the field, the village of Eccup with its rooftops and trees is slightly lower down on my left, about a quarter of a mile away, and it looks absolutely dreamy. The sun's out fully now, there's a little bit of mist, and it's like a little lost village. I went a little bit wrong here last time and missed this section of Leeds countryway, charged off into Eccup. But this takes me across a field, through a stile in a wall, and then out onto the road that goes left to Eccup and right to Arthington. There are a lot of geese on the move today. I think I've just seen my fourth grouping flying high over the Wharf Valley, which is about 2 miles to my right. Again in a sharper V this time, but all flying in perfect formation. Just coming to the road, I'll turn left back towards Eccup, walking the same route twice for a short distance. The walk is in effect a figure of 8. The left side of the 8 took me to where I picked up the Leeds countryway again, and the right side of the 8 will take me back to Golden Acre Park. There's a pub to the right, forget its name, standing on top of the hill, painted white, looking resplendent in this afternoon sun. But I'm now back at the road, so I'll cross the stile, and I've got half a mile before I head off into the woods again. I'm off the road into a plantation called Eccup Wyn. As happens at this time of year, at 2:15, afternoon is slowly giving way to evening. The sun that was shining has dropped further in the sky behind some clouds, and the day is slowly getting darker. Eccup Wyn was a former tipping site when Eccup Reservoir was built, and it's now a local nature reserve, Meanwood Valley Partnership in association with Leeds City Council, and it's a very rich habitat for woodland, birds, mammals and fungus. It's beautiful, it really is nice. Although I'm approaching a very busy rural road. It's called King Lane, goes all the way into Leeds. I think I have a short section along there to walk, and then I'm back at Golden Acre Park. Yay, there's a footpath. I think I'm back at the park now. I've crossed the road. There was an intersection of 3 roads, and there's a bridleway goes straight on between trees. So I think I'll carry on to the Otley Road, which is at the western side of the park, and that's where I'll be starting my next walk when I get the bus there out of Leeds. I'll then double back through the park, which again is a place I've never visited. I think I'm just about near the end of this bridleway now, just past a place I've wanted to visit. I'll have to come back. A Yorkshire Wildlife Trust nature reserve called Addle Dam. The entrance is on the left. On the right is the Parkway Hotel as you come out of Leeds on the road to Otley. A big mock Tudor place, famous for weddings, Christmas parties and such like. As you may be able to tell, I'm back at the main road. The bus stop where I'll get off is just at the other side of the road. I've come under the road. The footpath crosses the main road to the opposite side, then goes under a little tunnel, brings you out in the park, which I have to say is lovely. No idea why I've never been before. I think I'm roughly heading in the right direction. The wildfowl lake is on my right. The arboretum looks as if it's on the left. I walked round the other side of the lake when it brought me out to the Parkway Hotel. There's a cafe. It is quite pleasant. This world-class adventurer has just seen the park map, and I am indeed on the right path to take me back to my car and a hot flask of tea. So this is probably a good point to end today's podcast. If you have enjoyed it, please tell your friends about it, share it on your social media, and if you can, do join me next time. Cheerio.